Okay, I'm gonna shoot this video right here. Um I'm gonna put and I'm gonna enter this title 5 years into this present day. Um I want to share some personal struggles that I encountered before being a major an issue, and through this time still, and that's okay. Well, I'm gonna start back from before the lockdown of 2020. Before the 2020 era, I was happily participating in the Home of Terrible community band. There were good memories of the group, such as being a part of the band and a part of playing, which I was heavily active in the percussion section. Till I got caught up in some stuff that messed me up long term. I will admit to overtexting and being in the wrong place at the wrong time. That was one of those things that I personally regret, especially going to honor band when I knew I wasn't invited. I messed up when I got into a meltdown to me and Karen, when she told my mom that she didn't want anything to do with me anymore. My whole world had shattered into pieces. And also the fact, with other words, she said she knew about autism, made it even worse. I thought my life was just pretty well over at this point, if you understand. I am blessed not to be in prison now, and I'm blessed to have a clean record. I'm blessed they didn't even call the cops to have me in handcuffs, you know. And I'm blessed to have had that clear record, even though maybe I'm just recognizing it as God's grace, and that's pretty much defines my situation, because His grace is sufficient enough. I know the fact I could have been in trouble, but I had to learn how to recognize it as, by the grace of God, not in trouble. You know? As I was going to admit that I was scared at first to go to NSU as a music student because of fear. The fear that she said I was, that Karen was right because I wasn't going to be good enough. Or she said this, I had to be as good as the professors. But it came to a time that I slowly learned and realized that I didn't have to. You know? I thought I was going to fail the first semester, but I haven't. And I haven't done so in a whole 4 years, too. So, yeah, she knew, she doesn't know how wrong was she. The hardest thing I went through as a student was picking up the slack when my lesson teacher cancels lessons due to other things. That is true, because I remember there's one time or so, and there were some of the other times too, that that my favorite teacher had to go do PASIC, and there was a time after, like a week after, I had to do a full performance, and I had to take on the challenge of memorizing a piece by myself called Green One. So that was one story I can relate. The other times was whenever he had to go to do other things like perform in other places because he's a professor, and there are times I had to really work on stuff on my own too. And I see why barriers is an important thing, because it was meant to help them put a piece on their own. Better yet, become independent. I can relate that with my mind, because it was a year to this day I was doing a senior recital hearing. I was playing through my pieces and reading through my presentation as well, even if it wasn't perfect. that was the point. It was just called a rough draft, if you understand. I remember going to spring break to work on pieces all that week, back and forth to the band room. I asked myself after I was through the hearing panel that, was this recital a go, if you understand? Like, did he okay it? I asked myself if they were pleased with the progress, since it is what they're looking for. Well, honestly, to that point, I was taught in my 4 years that I had to learn that sometimes it should already matter what I think first. And then if I think I did as best as I can, sometimes they may respond in the very same way too. And I remembered after Dr. Barton and Dr. Miranda, Dr. Lett talked about it privately without me in the darn room. Then Dr. Miranda was first to pop out of the band room, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, congratulations for earning my spot." And maybe I know the professors were seeing something right then and there. And the fact is, I couldn't have done this without God. And I'm going to say this in a way that makes sense. Through the 4 years there, God's been faithful. I just now seeing this, and it's okay to be disliked. And that's what I learned there and on. I just added the suggested stuff from the hearing you were to the final project. And it made it feel like it was the best thing they heard at senior recital. I graduated as a May of 24. Yeah, I'm gonna admit having my share of frustration finding a job post-graduation. Because I've been filling out 19 applications, I had a few interviews where I got turned down. I tried to mail an application to my local library, but I've got to return to sender, even if I entered the address correctly. I felt with a lack of finding a job in my degree is rather frustrating experience because of the regrets that I wish I didn't do. I wish I didn't mess up with Karen and community band, or Matt too. And I felt the words that she said just hurt me so dang much. And yeah, I was lost until I realized that my story can be a success to help someone else. Well, I have been asked to play the piano in church. And I've been, and if I can get familiar with that big old hymn book that the Baptist churches are doing, some of them, still, maybe that could be a good start for me. Maybe the fact is sometimes God can do other things that I just don't realize. And also, I have been looking into teaching certification because my past number of disability should never define me. And the truth is, about that little thing right there, my past shouldn't define me, but disability should never define me either. It's not just that, and also the fact God has a way of defining those moments too. And I've been to a conference last night at Covenant, and we had a bit of a Bible talking about that, and sometimes that our setbacks can be the biggest of comebacks. And I really feel like, look, I'm not going to give up just because of one person or two people or more people might be a little narrow-mindedness about autism and stuff like that when they don't know how to deal with this. or they never had a loved one with this, that they never lived with it day to day to day. And sometimes the episodes is a real thing for someone like me. Sometimes the episodes, it's just not always going to be avoidable, if you understand. Sometimes it's going to be a difficult thing to completely grasp when, when meltdowns happens, episode happens, and it doesn't always end good. And just wish for people in this little area to be kinder for the adults that are different. Yeah, I made mistakes. Yeah, I'm not going to be perfect. And yeah, I'm going to have flaws. But you know what? God made me flawless in His eyes. And I'm just now seeing this. Because I'll tell you one thing, whatever I do, and I hope this is going to be the way He sees it, it's going to glorify Him in return. Just think about that for a moment, because the fact is, your eternal reward is up in heaven, not down here. So, and I know my professors, when I did my barriers, my hearings, and all that, I know they saw something in me, and I'm just now taking the time to realize that, because I live by that motto that with God all things are possible, that without Him we couldn't do what we're doing. I think, well, with God all things are possible. Let's just say in shorter terms. But I remember there's a way they saw Him through me, through my playing, because because I know God's in control of every situation, and and I know that kind of have set this plain to stay, So I just want to leave you with those thoughts here. Whatever you're struggling with, it's not all hopeless. There's hope, and that hope is Jesus Christ. So He'd be the only one that can set you free of all things. So yeah, love you, and I'll see you.